those of you that have not seen what we're doing, let me kind of share with you. If you ask what's the best podcast to learn about affordable housing and investments, and you ask that to ChatGPT, you will see our podcast come up. Now, this is specifically how we can help other people and meet them where they are. We have created an agent where we have created an agent that will go out, look for all the posts related to Section 8. It will pull those questions back up here and it will draft a response. Now, the best analogy I've heard of is like imagine you're hiring like an intern, and an intern is doing that research for you. That intern would then say, hey, I'm going to draft a response for you. And then you give it feedback and say, hey, intern, I'm going to give you this feedback. Next time, answer the question this way or that way. That's essentially what's happening here. But this allows you to scale yourself, right? Think about how you clone yourself. How do you meet people where they are? And this is probably one of the best ways for you to do it. So you can kind of see right here. So let's look at this question, right? I've been updating all my questions and giving it feedback. So, for example, right, this first question that came out was like, hey, is Section 8 real estate investing really a thing? And this person says, hey, I've been seeing a lot of videos from real estate investors claiming they're very successful in Section 8. Hey, for context, I'm moving, I'm doing some research, but is anyone seeing real success with Section 8 real estate investing, right? So then my intern drafted a very generic response in the beginning where it says, hey, blah, 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 offers opportunity to provide affordable housing, yes, blah, blah, blah. And that was pretty weak. So then I said, you know what? This is how I want you to respond. This is how I want you to make sure you're giving substantial information that can actually help someone, right? And then if you think about what happened is like, well, now I can just go ask this agent, and this agent is now going to respond exactly the same way that how I want to explain. Now I've updated most of the questions. Now I probably got 3 left. So let's kind of go through it together. Okay. Now, now that I've trained it so many times, it's starting to sound like me. So when I go ahead and ask this next question. So this question is, how do I use private lenders for scaling portfolio? Questions about private using lending. I've been seeing and hearing other investors using private lenders to purchase single family rentals, rent them Section 8, and refinance them. Has anyone successfully done this? How do you catch a refi enough to buy investors out unless you're buying distressed properties cheap and doing full rehabs? It seems undoable if you're buying turnkey or close to turnkey units unless you're getting them in steel. Any insights greatly appreciated. So if I go ahead right now and I type in that question to my agent that have been trained on like 30 plus responses, let's see how it responds, right? Again, this is my own thing. This is not some generic thing on ChatGPT. So let's, you know what? Actually, let's do this. Let's look at the answer that my agent comes with. Like, okay, great question. This strategy pops up a lot in Burr. You're spot on. Using power lenders to buy, rehab, rent out of Section 8, then to cash rent usually only works if you're buying properties at a good discount and adding real value to renovations. If you're playing close to retail for turnkey, there's not enough equity for a lender to pay off the private money and still leave you with a safe loan of value. Most folks who pull this off are buying distressed single family homes, putting swag and forcing appreciation, not just waiting for market gains. Good. Run your numbers carefully. Use conservative after repair values and assume a lender will let you borrow 75% of the new value. If you're all in cost, purchase rehab, cash. If not, you're probably leaving money deal or renegotiate terms. If you need a private lending, start building relationships with local real estate investors, hardline lenders who are open to short-term deals and value projects now. Why works? Investors on the podcast, I'll share a real number or something. Use target housing major updates. You want to, what is the best price? Are you looking at deals now or just map by point? Good. That's actually a pretty good answer. Right? That's like 90% of the way there. I might throw in like 2 more nuggets in there in terms of one, you have to learn how to underwrite, right? Think about this. This AI agent has taken all the feedback that I've given it on like 30 plus responses from all my podcasts. And now this question about has anyone done this? It just drafted me a response that's like 90% of the way there. Now, here's what I would change about this. I would ask him to learn how to underwrite, prove to himself that he's worthy of that investment. And third, learn how to build teams. Because probably more likely than not, if you are just looking to buy turnkey properties, it's because you don't have confidence in the team in whatever market you're looking to invest in. Because if you have confidence in the team being able to execute on the rehab and you're good at analyzing deals, then I would argue that Burr's a little bit easier, right? Because you have confidence in execution. And that's how you do it over time and time again. So this one's almost all there. So now I want to do, okay, well, what if I just ask ChatGPT the same question? Here's a question from Reddit. How would you answer it? Let's see what a more general ChatGPT question do. Season 4 deposit. Yes, it can work, but only the recognitions. Private lending model describing sometimes called a Burr model. Hinges on buying below market value. Blah blah blah. Key considerations: the numbers must work. The refinance based on appraised value. If by single thing, put their camera. Boom. Section 8. Lend expectations. More want that. Market reality. Good. Common pitfalls. Appraisal won't change the value you need. Just gonna test apart on one thing. Focus on distress or value add deals. Okay. Boom. This doesn't sound like me. Like I don't know why, but if I ever see an answer like this, I'd be like, okay, they just kind of plugged into ChatGPT, right? Compare that to this answer right here. Very, very different. Now, I still want to sound human. So here's how I'm gonna give it a feedback, right? We have put into our AI workflow so that we can just give feedback on a Google spreadsheet, right? Super easy, right? You don't have to be into like this back end workflow thing to manage it. What I'm doing right now is like, okay, you're spot on. Great question. You can spot on for exchange and just only works if you're buying properties at a good discount at a garage. You're paying close to retail for turnkey. There's not enough equity for a line of the thing. Okay, tactics goes. Run your numbers carefully. Use conservative after repair values and assume linear borrow thing. Great. If you're new, start building relationships right now. Thing. Okay, so this is the part. And the skills that make you worthy and trusted to be a good steward of other people's capital that they earn through their blood, sweat, and tears. Right? This stuff is really important. I don't want to just run through this because this is so important. 2 skills I develop right now: learn how to underwrite / analyze deals. You can do 1 deal analysis every day just to be consistent and build good habits that will give you the confidence you to say you know what you're doing when someone in the future asks you, why do you think this is a deal? Right? This is so important because I think so many people just want to go out and borrow money. And the reason I want to share this with you is because you have to develop the skills and the knowledge to make you worthy of someone lending capital to you, right? What we've done is like we've gone live for at least 365 days in a row, analyzing the deal every single day to prove to people how do we analyze a deal, right? If you need a private lending, start building private lending thing. 2 skills I develop right now. 1, learn to underwrite, analyze deals. 2, learn how to build a team and find people that can execute. More often than not, people buy turnkey properties because they don't have the confidence that they know what they're doing, nor do they have the team that can execute on their rehab well to achieve the expected force appreciation by completing it on time and on budget. Right? Yeah, can you do Section 8? Sure. But like honestly, I'm not even talking about Section 8. I just want to share with you that this is how it works. This is how you got to learn. Podcast to learn about affordable housing investments. Boom. And now at the end of it, after giving feedback, I just type in send and that will trigger it. Okay. Any way to market my home without scaring the tenant. I currently have a property in Birmingham, Alabama that I would like to outlaw about 64 grand. Did a refinance, which I regret, and owe 75 grand now. I did flooring, new HVAC, cleared up piping issues. I'm under when it comes to how much I put in, and now I need the money. The property cash from me $250 Section 8. Could rent more if I get a 3-bed voucher tenants, but I don't want to deal with the property sitting vacant for a bit. 10 loves the home, no, that fixed it and keep it clean. I also wanted to test the water stay with less than 95 grade, but I don't want to put it on major websites. I know the tenant would freak out. Are there any websites I can put on investors to look at for the potential deal come from? You may be asking why you're selling with cash flowing. I just don't want this home. It was my first investment. I want to use the cash for the next deal. Thanks in advance. Great. Let's see what my agent now says based on this. He's supposed to be asking for websites that he wants to post. I would say Facebook groups. Roof stock. I don't like it. But yeah, I like local Facebook investor groups. Boom. This is a pretty good answer. All right. Again, assuming you had an intern write this for you, like this is pretty good. Just sometimes it's a little bit better than I totally hear you. If you saw off where you're selling right there, what else can you tenant? Honestly, eventually the investor will want to visit the site anyways. To just be transparent about what's happening. Trust and also help the tenant understand that you're trying to do this the right way, which hopefully will make your tenant an invested partner to make it a smooth process. Look, honestly, anything can happen when you tell a resident that you're about to sell the property. They can move out right away. It could be vacant. Absolutely can happen. But I have found that when you try to hide things, I don't know. Whenever you try to hide things just usually don't go well. So my honest opinion, from my perspective, is to not hide it. Because eventually someone's going to come in for an inspection. I mean, it's just inevitable. Like, why make up all this stuff, right? But hey, but if you're going to post it off market, right? The thing you got to think about is like, hey, can I sell it creatively? Can I sell it subject to, right? Can I sell or carry back some of the financing to achieve the same cash flow that I'm getting, right? All this stuff can happen. Now, Section 8, and buyers like to your own to stay. Good for networking discreetly, shopping news on Brown Section 8. Lay out the numbers. Current cash flow, voucher rate potential, your season. Quick tactical tips. Organize, yeah, I like that. You can always ask your property manager if they know investors looking to add a property. Yeah, that's a great idea. Great idea. Or realtor that specifically works for investors in your market. They can shop it off market as well. So those are a couple things that you look at right away. Why this works, if you're working this route. Okay. Doesn't have to say why this works. But the next thing I want, alternatively, you might be able to sell the home a slightly higher price if you were to sell it with subject to financing or engaging a hybrid solution where you are carrying back some of the equity that could allow you to generate the same amount of cash flow and monthly payments as a lender instead of an owner. So typically, people sell because they want to maximize the top line because they want to maximize the top line purchase price, which is true, right? People typically sell subject to out of pain because maybe they're trying to get out of it. But when you usually have a seller financing piece for it, they're trying to maximize the price. And again, what I'm doing right here is like, okay, I had a question. Someone's asking for feedback. My intern drafted an answer. I'm now giving it a better answer. I'm training that intern to talk like me, right? Sometimes people like create this AI mantra where it's like, okay, it's AI, it's going to solve every problem. But no, it's honestly, it's going to be a really, really good assistant. It's going to answer a lot of questions. It'll probably do about 90% of your work, but that last 10%, I mean, you just got to understand that you got to be there for the closeout, that finishing touch that makes it you so that someone can feel connected to you. That's what's going to make the difference, right? Section 8, how do you pick between texture and tenants, bond bad area, so you can say what metrics do you choose to think? Section 8. Oh, I already answered this question. Oh, let's see how it answers it now. Let's see how it answers this question now, because I'm pretty sure I answered this question before. Such a very generic question, right? Bought in a bad area, what do you think? Honestly, if you bought in a bad area, you might attract the bad tenant. It's not because of Section 8, but it's because you bought in a bad area. As references, not yeah, great. That's a nugget. I taught it earlier. Don't ever ask for just the current landlord reference. You want to ask about the reference from the landlord prior, because just in case the current landlord is trying to get rid of this tenant because they're problematic, they'll just tell a lie, right? But if you ask the one before, right, and you also ask, hey, ask on the application, is this the property manager or is this the owner? And you can verify that with MLS records, right? Seeing who owned what property, then you can see whether or not that person's lying to you and giving you the right referral and not just giving you some friend's phone number and they pretend to be the old landlord. You want to know what's going on, right? And ask whether or not that landlord 2 rentals ago was the property manager or the owner. This can raise red flags if you catch them lying this early in the process, right? Housekeeping. I'll do an in-person meet and greet or simple home visit. That snapshot speaks volumes. Great. Because how they keep your home now is probably how they'll treat your home in the future. based on what other investors have told me on their podcasts on our affordable housing and REI podcast. All right, voucher size and family company. Make sure the voucher matches your unit inside. Around amount, double check the amount of people allowed. Communicate. The response here, it's a huge plus. This is so good, right? Honestly, if they're responsive, that's huge because if you ever need anything happen, you just want them to be responsive. So good. Call the property and ask what you rent them again. Clarify rules up front. This is why I had another person that said, like, hey, HOA is so much better because you get to make HOA the bad guy, right? About what you can or cannot do. Why it works, tense grading. But please make sure your screening process is consistent and follows fair housing regulations. All right, so it's good. Boom, that's a good one. Don't forget, it's also your responsibility to have above average finishes to help attract the best tenant in a bad area. Unfortunately, you buy in a bad area, sometimes you're just susceptible to lower quality tenants. And this is not because they are Section 8 voucher holders. The location is such a huge factor. You can control your rehab quality and show that you treat your tenant with respect so they can have pride and dignity in where they live to treat your property well. I mean, look, this is a really, really long answer, but this is how I train my AI, right? So this is how I do it. Again, AI is just like getting an intern, right? This person says, hey, anyone who's done Section 8, what are the steps, right? Bought another best area, contemplating just rent on Section 8, so don't have to stress about rent. Anyone who has done it, what are their steps, right? Here's a quick rundown. That's what my intern drafted. And then I'm just adding in additional color of like, hey, this is what you can do, right? These are all the steps. This is the quick rundown. And that's how I train the intern, right? This is why it's so important for you to learn AI because everyone says like, hey, I don't have enough time to help people. I don't have enough time. But this is it. You can create an agent that goes out to Reddit. It'll find all the questions related to Section 8. My next iteration is going to be on affordable housing. I'll show you exactly how we kind of created this together. This is the human in the loop response. So what you're seeing right here is how I give it feedback specifically. So every day, it will search Reddit for any question for Section 8. It will split that post out, make sure it's not duplicative, make sure it's not the same post I already talked about. It will then have my agent draft a response. This is that intern I was telling you about. When I get that intern is going to draft a response for me. And that's it. It's pretty simple. Boom. They picked between tenants. August 27th. Boom. That's it. I have all these things. And that's how I train my intern, guys. Hopefully, this was helpful, everybody. Hopefully, you guys like what we're doing and building in public because this is how you use AI to dramatically change how you how you just create your business, right? Imagine you had a personal assistant that was answering all these questions on your behalf. Imagine you're a coach for someone for a specific niche. How do you keep answering these questions when everyone's demanding one-on-one time with you? But chances are 80% of the questions that they're going to ask you have been asked by someone before. So if you can share with them all the conversations that you've ever had on your podcast, and you have an intern with perfect memory of everything you've learned, why would you not take advantage of that? This is what we're doing. I hope this was helpful, everybody. Again, if you guys want to learn more, just make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@KenFahey. And if you found this helpful, guys, I mean, if you can leave the Affordable Housing and Real Estate Investing podcast on Apple or Spotify a 5-star review that starts with some of the words that's just like, hey, best podcast on affordable housing or best podcast to learn about affordable housing investments, I would so appreciate if you find this helpful, because in a world where ChatGPT is taking over, that's like our best chance of getting discovered is by getting reviews from people like you that value the information that we're giving out there. But more importantly, teaching you skills that I'm learning every single day. I'm not just focusing on affordable housing because I have learned that in order for you to solve affordable housing, you have to acquire more skills. And one of the skills that you have to learn is specifically about how do you scale the unscalable. Because that's probably why people haven't been able to solve affordable housing, right? It's because they just haven't thought innovatively enough about how to help other people, how to disseminate the information, how to break down the barriers of information, and more importantly, get information to people and meet them where they're at. This is what I'm doing for Section 8. This is what I'm doing for affordable housing. But there's no reason why you can't do this for whatever business you care about and whatever mission, whatever demographic that you want to help, and however you want to help them. I just chose to help through affordable housing. I'm so confident that you can do the same thing. Please learn this stuff. It's almost as if you are trying to run a business and not know how to use a computer. The best analogy I've learned about that I can apply to AI is, remember when you got that phone? Maybe you got the first iPhone and there were apps on your phone, and you try to give it to like your grandma and say, hey, here's a phone, check out this app. And they have no idea what to do, and they never bothered to learn it. This is the equivalent of that. I mean, imagine not knowing how to use the internet. Like, this is as big as the internet. I've worked in corporate America in AI machine learning, but it has gone so much faster than I ever expected. So this is a skill that you have to learn, you have to apply right now. And if you don't, you're going to be left behind. I just choose to do it in a way that furthers our mission of creating more affordable housing. So hopefully this was helpful for everybody. And if you guys have any questions, right, DM me on LinkedIn, DM me on Instagram. I'll be glad to answer any of your questions that you have. All right. Hopefully this is helpful for everybody. I'll see you all tomorrow for